Hello everyone, before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Would you be willing to see someone again after a mistake like that? Would you ever want a second chance with someone who seemed so real? Stay tuned for the next part of the story. The next morning, Emma awoke with a groan, her head still spinning from the awkward events of the night before. She had hoped it would all be a bad dream, but as soon as her eyes opened, the reality set in. She had sat at the wrong table. She had embarrassed herself in front of a stranger, who, as it turned out, wasn't the man she was supposed to meet at all. A wave of frustration washed over her as she sat up, pushing her tangled hair out of her face. She glanced at the clock. It was nearly time for her shift at the diner. Groaning again, she swung her legs off the bed and onto the floor. Another day, another dollar. She grabbed her phone to check for any missed messages. Sure enough, there was a text from Jenny. So, how'd it go with Kevin? You okay? Emma rolled her eyes, typing out a quick reply, nope. Sat at the wrong table, thought I was meeting Kevin. That's what happened. She hit send and sighed, grabbing her jacket. As she got ready for work, she couldn't shake the image of the man from the restaurant. Liam. Even though the whole thing was awkward, there was something about him that had stuck with her. He hadn't been what she expected. He had seemed so out of place, just like her. She laughed softly to herself. Maybe that was the thing that drew her to him. Maybe she had just connected with him because they were both a little out of sync with the world around them. She shook her head. There was no way she would ever see him again. And honestly, that was probably for the best. The day passed in a blur of customers, coffee refills, and the constant hum of the diner. Emma barely had a moment to think about anything other than work. But as the evening rolled around, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from an unknown number. Hi, Emma. It's Liam. I know this might be strange, but I was hoping we could meet again. I owe you an apology for the mix-up last night. How about coffee? Her heart skipped a beat. Was this really happening? She stared at the message, unsure of what to do. Should she ignore it? Pretend it never happened? Or should she actually go through with it? After a few moments, she took a deep breath and typed out a response. Coffee sounds good. When and where? She hit send before she could talk herself out of it. Later that evening, Emma arrived at the small cafe Liam had suggested. It wasn't too fancy, but it was cozy and quiet, the kind of place where people came to get away from the world for a while. She stepped inside, scanning the room for him. And there he was, sitting at a corner table, looking casual in jeans and a sweater, a stark contrast to the sharp suit he had worn the night before. He looked up and smiled when he saw her. Hi, Emma, he greeted warmly. Thanks for agreeing to meet me again. She smiled, feeling a little less nervous now that she wasn't in the high-pressure environment of a restaurant. No problem, she said, taking a seat across from him. You're lucky I'm even speaking to you after last night. Liam chuckled. Fair enough. I honestly didn't know how to handle that. I should have corrected you right away, but something about the way you were talking. It was refreshing. And honestly, I didn't want the night to end on a weird note. Emma raised an eyebrow. So, you're saying you were just too shy to tell me I was sitting at the wrong table, she asked, teasing. Liam smiled, but there was something more genuine in it this time. Something like that, he admitted. But, in all seriousness, I was curious about you. I wanted to know more. They spent the next hour chatting, with Emma gradually relaxing into the conversation. She told him more about her job, her love for art, and her dreams of one day opening a gallery. Liam listened intently, asking questions and offering his thoughts. She didn't know why, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she could actually be herself around him. He didn't see her as just a waitress or someone stuck in a dead-end job. He seemed genuinely interested in who she was. Emma couldn't help but wonder if there was more to this meeting than just a simple apology, but before she could think too much about it, the conversation shifted. Liam leaned in slightly, his expression turning more serious. "There's something I need to tell you," he began, his voice low. Emma's heart skipped. What was he about to say? He paused, gathering his thoughts. "I'm not just some guy in tech, Emma. I own a company. I've built it from the ground up. And I'm not just here to test your patience or curiosity. I want to know more about you. About your art, your dreams, everything. If I'm being honest, I've been thinking about you since last night." Emma blinked, processing his words. She wasn't sure if she should be flattered or freaked out. Was this some kind of setup? Did he want something from her? Or was it possible that he was just being sincere? "Okay," she said slowly, her mind racing. "So, you're a CEO?" Liam nodded. "Yes, but I'm not trying to impress you with that. I just wanted to be upfront with you. I want to get to know you, without any pretense." Emma felt a rush of conflicting emotions. She had no idea what was happening between them, but she knew one thing for sure: her life was about to change in ways she never expected. But the question was she ready to let it? "What do you think? Is she ready for what comes next? Or is Liam hiding something else?" Stay tuned for the next part of the story. The days following their coffee date were a whirlwind for Emma. She tried to go back to her usual routine, working at the diner, worrying about her bills, and daydreaming about the art studio she hoped to one day open, but her mind kept drifting back to Liam. He had been sincere, more genuine than anyone she had met in a long time. He was the kind of person who listened, who didn't just pretend to care. And yet, something still felt off. Was he really just looking for someone to talk to, or was there something more to his interest? She didn't know, but the more she thought about it, the more she couldn't shake the feeling that their connection was more than just a fluke. One afternoon, a few days later, Liam called her. The sound of his voice on the other end sent a thrill through her. She hadn't expected to hear from him so soon. "Hey, Emma. I've been thinking a lot about what you said. I want to invite you to a charity gala. It's a big deal, but I think it would be fun for you to come with me," he said, his tone casual but with a hint of sincerity that made her heart race. Emma hesitated. A gala? That was far beyond anything she was used to. She could already picture herself standing there, out of place in a sea of tuxedos and designer dresses. But at the same time, the thought of spending more time with Liam, of stepping into his world, intrigued her. Maybe this was her chance to see if he was for real. "Okay, I'll go. But you owe me one for this," she joked, trying to hide the nerves in her voice. The night of the gala, Emma stood in front of her mirror, her heart pounding as she stared at the dress Liam had insisted she wear. It was beautiful, elegant, nothing like the worn clothes she was used to. She hardly recognized herself as she ran her fingers over the fabric. She had been excited at first, but now, standing here, she was starting to feel the weight of her doubts. Could she really fit in with his world? Would she embarrass herself again? When she arrived at the venue, Liam was waiting for her at the entrance, looking as handsome as ever in a black tuxedo. His eyes lit up when he saw her, and for a moment, Emma forgot her nerves. "You look amazing," he said, his voice soft, genuine. She smiled, feeling a blush rise to her cheeks. They walked into the grand ballroom together, the sound of live music filling the air. The room was filled with people in tuxedos and evening gowns, the kind of high society she had never been a part of. But as she walked alongside Liam, she realized something: she didn't feel so out of place. Not when she was with him. He introduced her to a few of his colleagues, all of them polite and welcoming. No one seemed to treat her like an outsider, and she found herself relaxing as the evening went on. At one point, they found a quiet corner of the room, away from the crowds. Liam turned to her, his expression serious. "I know this might be a lot to take in," he said, his voice low. "But I want you to know that I'm not just looking for a charity case or someone to pretend with. I invited you here because I really enjoy spending time with you. And I think I'm starting to care about you." Emma's heart skipped a beat. Was he really saying this? Was this the moment when everything shifted? She had thought about him constantly since their coffee date, but hearing him say those words out loud made everything feel real. For the first time in a long time, she felt seen. She didn't have to pretend. Liam was offering her something real. "Liam, I don't know what to say," she replied, her voice soft. "This is all so new to me. I've never been in a situation like this before. I mean, I don't even know if I'm cut out for this kind of world." She gestured to the elegant surroundings, the rich colors, the laughter and music. "This is so different from my life." Liam smiled, a reassuring, gentle smile. "You don't have to be cut out for anything, Emma. I just want to get to know the real you. You don't have to change for me." As the night wore on, Emma found herself letting go of her doubts. She was starting to believe him, starting to let herself see a future with Liam, one where they were equals, not divided by money or status. But as they were about to leave, a woman approached them. She was elegant, with sharp features and a cold smile. "Liam," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. "I didn't expect to see you with someone like her." Her eyes narrowed as she looked Emma up and down. Liam's expression hardened. He stepped closer to Emma, his protective stance sending a clear message to the woman. "This is Emma. And I suggest you keep your opinions to yourself." He turned to Emma and gently took her hand, leading her away from the woman's sharp gaze. Emma could feel the tension between them, but Liam's hand in hers grounded her. She realized, in that moment, that maybe she had been wrong to doubt him. Maybe this wasn't just some game for him. Maybe this was real. As they stepped out into the cool night air, Emma felt a sense of calm wash over her. She wasn't just a waitress in a cheap dress anymore. She was someone Liam genuinely cared about. And for the first time, she let herself believe it could be more than that. Do you think Emma will let herself trust Liam? Or will the pressures of his world tear them apart? Stay tuned for the next part of the story. The next few days were a blur for Emma. She couldn't stop thinking about the gala, about how everything had felt so different with Liam by her side. She had never imagined that a simple act of kindness could lead her into a world so far removed from her own. But the more time she spent with him, the more she began to feel like maybe, just maybe, she belonged there. And yet, doubts crept in. Was Liam truly interested in her, or was this all just a way for him to fulfill some business obligation? She wasn't sure. She couldn't help but wonder if she was just another project to him, another person he could fix or help along the way. The following weekend, Liam invited her to another event, a charity dinner this time. It was just as grand as the gala, with even more high-profile guests. This time, Emma hesitated before agreeing. She wasn't sure she was ready for more of this world, more of Liam's life. But there was something about him that made it hard to say no. She agreed, with a little more anxiety than before. The night of the dinner, she found herself standing in front of the mirror once again, trying to get her nerves under control. The dress Liam had sent for her this time was even more luxurious than the last. She ran her fingers over the silky fabric, feeling both excited and overwhelmed. She had no idea what she was doing, or if she even belonged in this world, but the thought of spending time with Liam kept pushing her forward. When she arrived at the venue, Liam was already waiting for her, looking just as handsome as ever. His eyes lit up when he saw her, and for a moment, Emma forgot her doubts. "You look incredible," he said, his voice full of admiration. Emma smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her. "Thank you. You look pretty good yourself." She was starting to feel more comfortable in his presence, even though the grandiosity of the event still made her uneasy. The evening started out like the last. Liam introduced her to his colleagues, and people were polite and kind, treating her with respect. But as the night wore on, Emma found herself growing more and more uncomfortable. She couldn't help but feel out of place as she walked through the ballroom, surrounded by people in extravagant gowns and expensive suits. She tried to push the feelings aside, but they kept creeping up on her. Was she really cut out for this? Would Liam's world ever feel like her world? Just as she was about to retreat to the quiet corner of the room, she felt a tap on her shoulder. Turning around, she came face to face with a woman who was glaring at her. Emma froze. The woman's eyes were sharp, cold, and calculating. "So, you're the one Liam has been spending all this time with," the woman said, her voice dripping with disdain. "I didn't think he'd go for someone like you." Emma felt a knot tighten in her stomach. Before she could respond, Liam appeared at her side. His expression was hard, his jaw clenched. "Is there a problem?" he asked, his tone icy. The woman glanced at him, her smile faltering. "No problem," she said, her voice tight. "I was just curious." Liam took Emma's hand gently and led her away. As they walked, Emma could feel her heart racing. "Who was that?" she asked, trying to hide the anxiety in her voice. Liam's grip on her hand tightened slightly, a silent reassurance. "Someone from my past," he said, his voice low. "Don't worry about her. She's just trying to stir trouble." But despite his words, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that this woman, this cold and calculating figure, was somehow a reminder of the world that Liam came from. A world where status and appearances meant everything, where people judged others based on things that Emma had no control over. Liam seemed to sense her unease, and his tone softened. "You're different, Emma," he said, his voice steady. "And I want you to know that. I'm not looking for someone to fit into my world. I am looking for someone who challenges it. Someone who sees the real me, not just the guy everyone else sees." Emma looked up at him, her heart beating faster. His words were sincere, but part of her still wasn't sure if she could fully believe him. She had been hurt before, and trusting someone, especially someone from a world so different from her own, felt like a leap of faith she wasn't sure she was ready to take. They spent the rest of the evening quietly, talking about everything and nothing. And though the woman's cold stare and the whispers of the high society crowd still lingered in her mind, Emma found herself more and more drawn to Liam. She began to believe that maybe he wasn't just another wealthy man trying to fix someone. Maybe he genuinely saw something in her. But as the night came to an end and they left the venue, Emma couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. Liam was opening up to her, but was she ready to open up to him? Was she ready to trust him fully, or was she still holding back, afraid of the world he came from and afraid of what it could do to her heart? What do you think? Is Emma ready to take the leap and trust Liam, or will her past hold her back? Stay tuned for the next part of the story. Over the next few days, Emma couldn't help but replay the events of the gala in her mind. The woman's sharp eyes, her cold words, still echoed in her thoughts, and despite Liam's reassurances, Emma found it hard to shake the feeling that she didn't truly belong in this world. She tried to go back to her routine, but it was harder than before. The quiet diner, the hum of the coffee machine, the clink of plates, it all felt so distant now. Liam continued to reach out to her, sending texts, inviting her to dinners, and occasionally dropping by her apartment just to check in. It wasn't anything grand, but every time he showed up, it felt different. He was there, not because he had to be, but because he genuinely wanted to be. Yet, Emma was still unsure. Could someone like him, someone from a world so different from hers, really be interested in someone like her? One afternoon, after a particularly long shift, Emma received a message from Liam. "Hey, I was thinking of going to a small charity event this weekend. I'd love it if you could join me. It's not fancy, just a quiet dinner with a few close friends. You'd be doing me a favor." She hesitated, reading the message over and over again. A small charity event? No gala, no fancy crowd, just a dinner. Something about that made her feel more at ease. She replied with a simple, "I'd love to." The evening of the event, Emma dressed casually, nothing extravagant, just a simple dress she felt comfortable in. She had no idea what to expect, but the thought of spending time with Liam without the weight of high society hanging over her felt like a breath of fresh air. When she arrived, she was surprised to find it wasn't just a dinner, it was a gathering at Liam's home. It was small, intimate. A few people sat around the dinner table, all of them familiar faces from Liam's life, friends, colleagues, but they seemed different from the people at the gala. They were kind, warm, and made her feel comfortable from the moment she stepped inside. Liam greeted her with a soft smile, his warmth immediately putting her at ease. "Emma, I'm so glad you could make it," he said, leading her to the table. "These are my closest friends, people who've known me for years. I hope you don't mind if I introduce you to everyone." Emma smiled nervously. "Of course not." As the evening unfolded, Emma realized just how different this dinner was compared to the grand events she had attended with Liam. There was no pretension here, no judgments, just genuine conversations and laughter. She began to feel like she was part of something real, something grounded. The more she talked to Liam's friends, the more she saw a side of him she hadn't expected, the side that was down to earth, not defined by his wealth or status. Liam's friend Sarah, a woman with bright eyes and a warm smile, leaned over to Emma at one point and said, "You're good for him, you know. He's always been so serious, always focused on work. It's nice to see him lighten up when he's with you." Emma blushed, unsure of how to respond. But the compliment warmed her. She wasn't sure if it was just because of the evening or because of Liam, but she felt a sense of belonging that she hadn't felt in a long time. Maybe, just maybe, this was what she had been looking for. As the evening came to a close, Liam walked Emma to the door. "Thank you for coming," he said, his voice soft. "It means a lot to me. I know this isn't your usual scene, but I wanted you to see the part of my life that's more real." She smiled at him, her heart swelling with a mixture of emotions. "I'm glad I came. I didn't know what to expect, but this was nice." Liam looked at her for a long moment, his expression serious but gentle. "I know this isn't easy for you. But I want you to know something, Emma. I don't want you to feel like you have to change for me. I don't care about your past, your job, or your status. I care about you, about who you are, not what you do or where you come from." The sincerity in his words hit her like a wave. Her doubts, her fears, all the walls she had built around herself started to crumble. Maybe this was real. Maybe this could work. She could see a future with him, one where they were equals, not separated by the differences in their lives. As she left his house, Emma couldn't help but feel a warmth spreading through her chest. She had been so focused on the things that set them apart, but now she realized that what mattered most was what connected them. And for the first time in a long time, she felt like maybe, just maybe, she had found someone who truly understood her. But as she made her way back to her apartment, her phone buzzed with a message from Jenny. "How did it go? Is he the real deal?" Emma paused for a moment, looking at the message. She smiled softly, her fingers hovering over the keys as she typed a reply. "I think so. I really think so. Do you think Emma is ready to trust Liam fully? Or is there still something holding her back?" Stay tuned for the next part of the story. Over the next few days, Emma found herself caught in a whirlwind of emotions. After the intimate dinner at Liam's house, something inside her had shifted. She wasn't sure exactly what had changed, but she could feel herself becoming more and more drawn to him. They spent more time together, their connection growing deeper with each passing conversation. She found herself sharing things she never thought she would about her childhood, her dreams, and even her insecurities. Liam listened, really listened, and never once made her feel inferior. But despite how wonderful everything seemed, a small voice in the back of her mind couldn't help but remind her of the differences between them. He was a millionaire CEO with a world of luxury at his fingertips, while she was still scraping by, struggling to make ends meet. Could this really work? One evening, as they sat together in Liam's penthouse overlooking the city, she couldn't help but voice her concerns. "Liam, I don't know. I feel like I'm getting in too deep. I've never been in a relationship like this before, one where everything feels so different. I'm not used to this world. Liam looked at her, his gaze soft but steady. Emma, I know this isn't easy. I'm not asking you to change who you are. I want you for you, your heart, your soul. Not the life you've had to live, not the things you've had to do to survive. I care about you, Emma. Nothing about your past changes how I feel about you. His words made her heart swell, but that small voice still lingered in the back of her mind. How could he truly love her, knowing all the things she had done to survive? How could someone like him understand the struggles she faced every day? But Liam wasn't finished. I want to be with you, not because of what you don't have, but because of who you are. You make me feel things I didn't even know I was missing. You remind me of the simple things in life that I've forgotten. And I want to share those things with you. Just you. Emma felt a lump form in her throat. It was the kind of honesty she had been craving, the kind of love she had always dreamed of but never thought she could have. For the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to believe in something real. The next day, Liam invited her to a charity gala. Emma was hesitant at first. Another grand event? Another chance to feel out of place? But something inside her told her that this time, it would be different. This time, it wasn't about fitting in, it was about being with Liam, about supporting him and his work. She agreed, but only under one condition: I want to go with you, but I want to wear something I'm comfortable in. No more dresses that make me feel like I'm pretending to be someone I'm not. Liam smiled, his eyes lighting up. Anything you want, Emma. You don't have to pretend with me. The night of the gala, Emma chose a simple but elegant dress, something that made her feel like herself. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was just going to enjoy the evening with Liam. When they arrived, the same grand ballroom greeted her, but this time, she felt a sense of peace. She wasn't there to prove anything. She was there because she wanted to be by Liam's side. As the night went on, Liam introduced her to people in his circle, but this time, things felt different. There was no judgment, no feeling of being an outsider. She wasn't just the girlfriend of the CEO, she was Emma, a woman who had found a place in his life, and that was enough. The evening was light, fun, and full of laughter, and Emma realized that maybe, just maybe, she had been wrong to doubt herself. But as the evening drew to a close, something unexpected happened. A woman approached them, a woman Emma recognized from the gala a few weeks ago. It was the same woman who had made her feel so small and out of place. She approached with a sly smile, her eyes glinting as she looked Emma up and down. So, you're the one who has captured Liam's attention, she said, her voice dripping with condescension. Emma's heart raced, and she could feel the old insecurities creeping back. Before she could say anything, Liam stepped in front of her, his posture protective. Yes, I am, he said, his voice firm. And if you have something to say, I suggest you say it elsewhere. The woman's smile faltered, and she turned away, walking off without another word. Emma looked up at Liam, her heart swelling with gratitude. She realized that this was the moment. The moment when she knew, without a doubt, that Liam wasn't like the other people in his world. He was different. He cared about her. As they left the event, Liam took her hand in his, a sense of peace settling between them. You're the only one who matters, Emma, he said softly. I know this isn't easy for you, but I want you to know whatever happens, I'm here. And I'm not going anywhere. Tears welled in Emma's eyes as she squeezed his hand. For the first time, she felt like she wasn't alone. Maybe, just maybe, this was the love she had been waiting for all her life. Do you think Emma is finally ready to fully embrace her future with Liam? Or is there more she needs to work through before she can truly trust him? Stay tuned for the next part of the story. As the days passed, Emma started to feel a sense of peace she hadn't experienced in a long time. Being with Liam felt natural now, like slipping into a comfortable pair of shoes. He had shown her a side of life she never thought was possible, not through material things, but through his genuine care and attention. They spent their weekends exploring the city, visiting art galleries, and having quiet dinners. Emma was falling for him more each day. Still, she couldn't shake the nagging feeling that there was something more she needed to know, something Liam had yet to tell her. One evening, as they walked through a park near her apartment, the crisp autumn air making the leaves crunch beneath their feet, Emma decided to bring it up. "Liam, there's something I need to ask you," she said, her voice hesitant. He stopped walking, turning to face her, his expression soft. "What is it?" Emma took a deep breath, trying to gather her thoughts. "I need to know, Liam, why me? I mean, you have everything. You don't need someone like Masamion struggling to make ends meet, trying to chase a dream. Why do you want to be with me?" For a moment, Liam didn't say anything. He just stood there, his hands tucked into his pockets, looking at her. His silence made Emma's heart race, her mind running through all the possible reasons. Was he just bored with his usual life? Did he want something new and exciting, only to lose interest later? But then Liam stepped closer, his gaze steady and unwavering. "Because you make me feel like I can be more than what I am, Emma. I'm not just a CEO or a businessman. I'm a man who wants something real. And when I'm with you, I feel like I'm not just surrounded by people who see me for my wealth, but for who I really am. You've shown me what matters beyond the money, beyond the status. I want someone who gets that. I want someone who challenges me to be a better person. And that's you." Emma felt her chest tighten, a lump forming in her throat. She had never imagined someone could say those words to her. "Liam, I don't know what to say," she whispered, feeling overwhelmed by the sincerity in his voice. He smiled softly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You don't have to say anything. Just know that I'm not here because of what you don't have. I'm here because of everything you are." Tears stung Emma's eyes, but she blinked them away quickly, not wanting to seem weak. "I just don't want to be another disappointment," she admitted quietly, her voice breaking a little. "I don't want to let you down." Liam cupped her face gently in his hands, his touch warm against her cold skin. "Emma, you're not a disappointment. You're the most real person I've ever met. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm here because I want to be here. With you." Her heart fluttered in her chest as she looked up at him, her doubts starting to melt away. She had been so afraid of getting hurt, so afraid of falling for someone so different from her. But now, standing here with him, she realized that maybe, just maybe, this was the kind of love she had been waiting for. "I'm scared," Emma whispered, her voice barely above a breath. Liam kissed her forehead softly. "I know. But we'll face it together." For the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she wasn't alone. She wasn't just some waitress or a struggling artist. She was someone worthy of love, someone who had found a place in Liam's heart. And maybe, just maybe, she could start believing in that love, in the possibility of something real. As they walked back to her apartment hand in hand, Emma couldn't help but smile, a sense of peace settling over her. For the first time in a long time, she felt like everything was exactly as it should be. Do you think Emma will finally embrace this love, or will her fears keep her from fully trusting Liam? Stay tuned for the next part of the story. Weeks passed, and Emma found herself slowly letting go of the fears and insecurities that had held her back for so long. Being with Liam felt more natural with each passing day. They spent more time together, and the connection between them deepened. She had never imagined that she would fall in love with someone like him, someone with so much wealth and power. But with Liam, it wasn't about the money. It was about the way he made her feel valued, understood, and loved for who she was. Yet, despite everything feeling right, a nagging thought continued to linger in the back of Emma's mind. What would happen if Liam's world and hers collided in a way she couldn't control? She had always feared that someone from his life, his high-powered colleagues, his well-heeled friends, would look down on her, see her as nothing more than an outsider. And what if those fears came true? One evening, as they sat on the couch in his penthouse, the topic came up. Liam had been talking about an upcoming business event, a major deal that was crucial to his company. He seemed distracted, but still, Emma noticed the weight of the situation on his shoulders. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice soft. Liam looked at her, his eyes tired but warm. "I'm fine. It's just the pressure. There's a lot riding on this deal, and I need to be at my best. I can't afford to slip up." Emma nodded, sensing the weight of the moment. She could see that the pressure was getting to him, but she also knew that he was the type of person who wouldn't let it show. "I don't want to be in your way," Emma said suddenly, her words catching him off guard. She had been feeling a growing unease, a fear that she wasn't enough for him. "I know you're dealing with a lot right now. Maybe it's best if I give you some space." Liam frowned, his hand reaching for hers. "Emma, what are you talking about?" he asked, his voice laced with confusion. "You're not in my way. You're everything I've wanted. I need you here, with me, not pushing me away." "I'm just worried that I don't fit in with your world," Emma admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "You're at the top, Liam. Your world is so different from mine. And I don't know if I can handle all the pressure that comes with being with someone like you. What if I'm not enough?" Liam squeezed her hand, his expression softening. "You're more than enough, Emma. You've always been enough. I don't need anyone to fit into my world. I need someone who will be themselves, who will challenge me and make me better. That's what you've done for me." Tears welled up in Emma's eyes, and she felt a lump form in her throat. She had never imagined that someone like Liam would feel this way about her, that someone so successful and powerful could look past everything and see her for who she really was. "But I'm just a waitress," she whispered, almost as if to herself. Liam's eyes softened, and he gently lifted her chin so that she was looking directly at him. "And I'm just a man who's trying to find something real. What we have is real, Emma. And I'm not going anywhere. You don't have to change for me. I want you just as you are." In that moment, everything clicked for Emma. All the doubts, all the fears, all the insecurities she had held onto so tightly for so long began to fade. She realized that she didn't have to be someone else to be loved. She didn't have to fit into Liam's world. She just had to be herself, and that was enough. As Liam leaned in to kiss her, Emma felt a sense of peace wash over her. She wasn't alone anymore. She had found someone who saw her for who she truly was, someone who loved her not in spite of her past, but because of it. The next day, as they walked hand in hand through the city streets, Emma smiled to herself. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time, she felt like she was ready to face it together with Liam. Do you think Emma will continue to trust Liam, or will her insecurities resurface? Stay tuned for the next part of the story. Weeks went by, and Emma felt a sense of peace she had never known before. She had finally found a balance between her world and Liam's, realizing that the differences between them didn't matter as much as she had feared. They shared everything: small, quiet moments at home, long walks through the city, and even silly, light-hearted conversations late at night. For the first time in her life, Emma felt truly seen, truly loved, without pretense or expectations. But despite the happiness she felt, a part of her still couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. She had always been independent, fiercely protective of her own space and dreams. She had fought for everything she had, and even with Liam by her side, the old fear of losing herself lingered in the background. Could she really merge her life with his without losing herself in the process? One evening, as they sat together in the park, watching the sunset, Liam turned to Emma with a soft smile. "I've been thinking about us," he began, his voice steady but full of emotion. "And about everything we've built together. I know this hasn't been easy for you. You've been through so much, and I want to make sure you're not just here because you feel like you have to be." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She had never told him how much she had struggled with her insecurities, how much she had feared that she wasn't enough. But hearing him say that made her realize how much he truly understood her. She looked at him, the love in her eyes shining through. "Liam, I'm here because I want to be," she said softly. "I'm here because I love you. And I'm starting to understand that love doesn't mean losing yourself. It means growing together." Liam took her hand, squeezing it gently. You've already helped me grow in so many ways. I know this world, my world, can be overwhelming, but I want you to know that I'm not asking you to change. I just want to build something real with you, something we can both be proud of. Tears welled up in Emma's eyes as she looked at him. I never thought I could have something like this. I never thought I could feel this loved. Liam brushed a stray tear from her cheek, his voice soft. You're everything I've wanted, Emma. And I promise, I'm not going anywhere. We're in this together. Always. With that, Emma felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The doubts, the fears, the worries that had plagued her for so long, they all began to fade. She realized that what she had with Liam was real. It wasn't just about the things they had, or the world they came from, it was about the connection they shared, the way they made each other better. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Liam stood up and pulled Emma into his arms, holding her close. I have one more thing to ask, he said, his voice low but filled with excitement. Emma Brooks, will you marry me? Emma's breath caught in her throat, and for a moment, everything around them seemed to disappear. The noise of the world faded away as she looked up at Liam, his eyes full of hope and love. She had never imagined a proposal like this, no grand gestures, no elaborate plans, just the simplicity of the moment and the honesty of their connection. Yes, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Yes, I will marry you. Liam's face lit up with a smile that could have lit up the entire city. He kissed her gently, and in that moment, Emma knew that her life was exactly where it was meant to be. She wasn't just a waitress, a struggling artist, or someone trying to fit into a world that didn't belong to her. She was Emma, someone who had found love, someone who had found a future with Liam, someone who had finally found her place. And as they stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, Emma realized that no matter what came next, they would face it together. Because love, in its truest form, wasn't about perfection. It was about trust, understanding, and being there for each other through everything. What do you think? Will Emma and Liam's love stand the test of time? Stay tuned for the next part of the story.